I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello everybody, Harvey Talks Prison here. I want to tell you a crazy story about an altercation I got into in Farmington Correctional Center. I don't know if this has any message or not, but it's just strange how everything happened. But before I get into that, I got to give a backstory. There was 3 Vietnamese guys in this prison. One of them, he's not going to be involved in what happened, but he could barely speak English. The other one of them's name was Jay Walker. I mean, not Jay Walker, Jay Glover. Not in relation to the actor. He was only half Vietnamese. The other one was full Vietnamese. The third one, his name was Sun Ho. Now, when they call you to the bubble and stuff, they always call you by your last name, so you know what he was being called for a while, and then either he had him put a stop to it, or they finally just started saying his whole name, Sun Ho, because it just sounded weird saying his last name, and he was definitely not an H. But anyway, they hung around with these 2 white guys. One of them was named Ronnie Frames. The other one was a little bitty guy named Rooster. Now, Jay Glover and Rooster were kind of short little guys. The other 2, Sun Ho, Ronnie Frames, they was kind of tall. So one day, we're coming back from lunch, and it seemed like everybody went to lunch. I can't remember what was happening, but it had to be pretty good for almost everybody to go. And up ahead of me, I see these 4 guys jumping this other guy. Now, I already had a kind of a thing with these guys anyway, because they jumped on somebody I knew a while back, and that's the way they worked. They all worked in 4s. So I ran up there to help this guy out. Usually I don't. All the fights and stuff I've been in, it was always in defense. But this one, I decided that something had to be done. So I go up there, I get into it. This guy Rooster, little bitty hand, can't hit hard, hit me in the back of the head, maybe the back a couple times. You just kind of shove him off, and Jay the same way. So me and Ronnie get to fighting. We end up on the ground. He ends up above me, and he's hitting me in the forehead. I don't know why he wasn't hitting me in the face or anything, but he's hitting me in the forehead. I finally get him off of me, and the 2 guys, Rooster and the other guy, they're telling everybody to break it up. Well, by that time it's too late. Another guy had ran up and had jumped into it. He was right behind me. I didn't know this, and he was fighting Ronnie Frames. I mean, not Ronnie Frames, Sun Ho. So the 2 little guys, they ran inside. Oh, what was that? By the way, the guy we went up there to help, he ran off too. He ran and to the housing unit, which wasn't too far away from where this took place, and I was telling them there's a fight out there. I found this out all out later. Kevin, my partner, had already made it into the wing, and somebody had told him, and he was trying to get back out, and they wouldn't let him back out. In fact, I think there was a few guys trying to get back out, and they wouldn't let them back out. Some was just wanting to watch, you know. People, they don't mind their own business these days. But anyway, they take us, the 4 of us that was fighting, they take us to the hole, and they eventually found the other 2. Take us all the way down there to the hole. Rooster's down there yelling up at me, "Hey man, you had no business getting into that." They put me in the same cell I was in the fight with the guy. They let some guys out early to put us down there. So we're in there, and he's covered in mace, pepper spray, or whatever it is, you know. And his friends was telling him, says, well, or people that he knew, hey man, what happened? He goes, I got into it. He goes, it looks like you guys came out the loser, you know. And Rooster says, we were jumped. And somebody said, oh, come on man, there's 4 of you. And you saying that 2 of them jumped you? You're just making this look bad, worse, you know. So before we got out, we had to sign an enemy waiver. There's a piece of paper saying you won't get into it with these guys again. And I hate them because, even as they say, if something else happens to one of those guys, they get into it with somebody else, they can lock me up too, because they think that I put them up to it. So I don't really like, nobody really liked the enemy waiver thing, but to get out, you have to sign them. Then they put me in the cell with Jay Glover. Everybody knew that there was a setup. Me and Jay go down to the caseworker's office and tell him, man, why you guys are doing this? You trying to get us back into it again? And I said, you could easily put me in one of those other cells, and one of the other guys put in the cell with him that was on his side. So they end up moving us. Eventually, it took them a while. Son Ho comes up to me and says, hey man, is this over with? That's, as far as I'm concerned, it is, you know. And he goes, well, I'm just wanting to make sure, you know. And Ronnie Frames, it's kind of strange, I ended up getting along with him after that, kind of, you know. I mean, we didn't hung out a lot, but we would talk. And I asked him, I said, what was that all about? He goes, man, really? He goes, it was them. It was going around jumping everybody. He goes, but since they were my partners, I felt like I had to get in it. He goes, what they was doing was wrong, but they's my partners, you know. And I said, did you tell them it was wrong? And he said, yeah. But we would talk, and I mean, like a year or 2 later, we'd talk about that and laugh about it. Man, that whole thing was messed up. The dude that ran off, that we went up there to help, that ran off, while we was in the hole, they ran him out of the housing unit. They did, you know, they just made him check in, go to PC. So that's all I got for you today. Don't think there's a message in this, except maybe, you know, if you're going to help somebody out in prison, you can't always count on them hanging around, you know. They may run off on you, you know. I think as somebody said one time, the people you run with, it's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. Meaning, you'd rather have 4 solid people that you can depend on than 100. Quality over quantity. Anyway, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Oh, and leave a comment.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars.